Hello everyone. This is one of the questions from bearing and distances in mathematics which I have been solving on this page or channel, okay? The question on board says, an aircraft takes off from an airport at an average speed of 20 km per hour of a bearing of 052 degrees for 3 hours. It then changes course and flies on a bearing of 028 degrees at an average speed of 30 km per hour for another 1.5 hours. Now the question says, find number A, its distance from the starting point, B, the bearing of the aircraft from the airport. Okay, now without wasting much time, the first thing to be done on this question is to sketch the diagram to enable us solve it. All right, now the diagram is that it said that an aircraft takes off from airport. Let that our airport be this 4 cardinal point, which here is north, south, west, and east. The aircraft now takes off with a speed of 20 km on a bearing of 52. You know that from here to here on our 4 cardinal point is 90 degrees, okay? Now you now sketch the imagination of that 52 degrees, which will be more than half of the, the whole thing, so that here is our 052 degree, okay? So now the aircraft now takes off with this angle. That means it is going to move this way. Now, when it reaches a particular distance, which they did not give us, they just gave us the speed of the aircraft and the hour it has taken the aircraft to reach a particular distance. They now say that it changes a course. Now changes a course and fly with a bearing. Now changes its direction and fly with a bearing of 028. Now where it changes the course, we will still have another 4 cardinal point. Now this aircraft now changes a course with 28 degrees. 28 degrees from here to here is 90 degrees, okay? That means it's very close to the north. The direction is very close to the north, which means from here is 028 degrees. He said that he now changes this course in this manner, okay? Now and reach here. They now ask us now to find the distance it has taken this plane. To find he now asks us to find the distance from the starting point. The distance from the starting point will be this now. This is the starting point. He now asks us the distance from where this particular plane is now to this place. So let's name it A. That is the distance we are looking for. But we cannot get this distance without finding the distance of other places. Now we have to find the distance here and also find the distance here, which they have given us information to find them. Now, let us find the distance of this one. Remember that speed is equals to distance over time, okay? But from this question, the first course which this plane has traveled, they gave us the speed and gave us the time, which means they gave us the speed and gave us time. So the information will enable us to find the distance here. So the distance now will become the speed, which is 20, times the time, which is 3 hours, and it will now be 60 kilometer. So here now is 60 kilometer. That is distance. Then the distance also we will get it to from the information given us when it changes course, okay? So they have given us the speed and the time. Then the distance of this place will now be the distance equals to the speed, which is 30, times 1.5 hour, which is 1.5. And when you multiply it, it will now give you what? About 45 kilometer. So here will be 45 kilometer. Okay? Now let us find the distance of this place now. Distance of here. Then we can use now our cosine rule. I've treated cosine rule on this page, so you better watch them to remember all those things you need to do. Now, before then, we need to find angle that will be here. Remember that we have 28 here already, and from here to here will be 90. And what will be here? We can find here using our alternate angle. I've treated angles on a parallel line. Please check them for you to know it. From alternate angle, here will be equals to here. But remember that from this north to east, okay, is 90 degrees, okay. So when you subtract 52, that is already there, it will remain 38. So here is 38 degrees. Therefore, here will also be 38 degrees. And when you sum up all these values, what would you have there? Then we need the summation when we get there. So now looking for this distance, okay, we will now use cosine rule, which says that a squared equals to b squared plus c squared minus 2 times a b cos a. That is cos angle that is facing the side you are looking for. And the angle is summation of all this. And when we sum them, correction, what I mean is using cosine rule. And remember that I am looking for this distance, okay, which I have named a. And using cosine rule, we now know that sine a square is equals to b square plus c square minus 2 times bc cos a. Do you understand? Which is a, which is the side I'm looking, plus these two other side, okay, minus 2 times the same two other side, 2 times the same two other side, which is bc, which I named the bc. Like I will now say 2 times 60 times 45, then cos of this place, which is 156 when you add them. So that is what I mean, okay? So make sure you understand what I'm saying. Please watch my cosine rule application, all right, for you to understand more. Thank you. So let's continue. It will now be 156. Now have a square equals to b square is these two sides, okay? B and c is these two sides. So now be 60 square plus 45 square minus 2 times 60 times 40. 60 times 45 cos a is a summation of this thing, which is 156 degrees, okay? 60 square here becomes what? 3,600 plus 45 squared, mean 45 squared is what? 2025 minus 2 times 60, 120 times 45 will now give us 5,400 times cos 156 will give us what? Minus 0.941. Minus will now give us minus 0.9914. So when you use your calculator to find the cos 156 to give you minus 0.914, okay? Now, when we add this plus this will give us 5,000. That is, remember we have a square. A square will give us 5,625. Okay, we now say minus 5,400 times minus 0.914 will now give us plus. Minus times minus will now give us plus. And when we multiply them, it will now give us 4,935. 4,935. 4,935.6. Then a square equals to, let us add them. When we add this produce, will now give us 10,560.6. Okay. Now finding the value of a, we now have a equals to square root to this number 10,560.0, 10,560.6 will now give us what when we find the square root of that number? 102.8. Give us 102.8 kilometer. That is the distance of this place. Okay. Now let us solve for the which says the bearing of the aircraft from the airport. Okay. So the one we are looking for is this. The question is asking us is from here to here, and we cannot get it without getting the angle inside here. Let us name it theta, because we have already known from here to here, from here to this line. So if we know this angle now, we just subtract it from 52. Okay, it will now give us that bearing they're asking us. Remember that the bearing they're asking us is from here to here. That is this line, the bearing from the port. Okay. Now let us use sine rule to solve. We need this one. We call this theta. So we're going to use sine rule to find this theta first. Now remember our sine rule, that sine of A all over A equals to sine of C all over, sine of B all over B. Okay, that's the two angles we have known. We will use this angle and this one we are looking for. Okay. Now sine of A is the angle of the angle. This angle is here, which is 152. So sine of A is angle that is here, which is 156, right? When we used it all over the side, which we have calculated to be 102.8, equals to sine B, which is the one we are looking for. We'll now call it sine theta all over the side opposite to it, which is 45. Making sine theta subject of formula, will now have 45 times sine 55. Making the subject of formula, now have sine theta equals to, we now multiply 45 times sine 156 will now give us 18.3 approximately all over 102.8. And when we divide it, we now have what? Now have 0.18 approximately. Finding for the theta we are looking for, have theta equals to sine inverse of 0.18, which will now give us what? Sine 10.3 degrees. That is the value of this spread. The angle that will be here is 10.3 degrees. All right. Now let us find that B, which say we should find the bearing. Now the bearing from the bearing of this, the bearing of the aircraft from the airport will now be equals to the 52, which we have already known to this side, minus the angle we calculated here, which is 10.3. The final answer will now be, the final answer becomes 41.8 degrees. That is the angle from here to here, which they're asking us. The bearing of the aircraft from the airport is now 41.8 degrees. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Please don't forget to like, comment, okay, and share. God bless.